Hello and welcome back to my channel, where today I have another theories and predictions video as we think about what's next for Stranger Things Season 5. Now, hopefully this time we won't have to wait as long as we did for Season 4, though if the show continues to increase in quality like it does, take all the time you want. And I'm sure the Duffer brothers are just excited as we all are to see the story come to a satisfying close. And as I said in my review, because I think they're growing as filmmakers, that they're becoming more confident, I do think they will stick the landing. And with some of the ideas that I kind of have for where maybe Season 5 will go, I don't know how it can't be a satisfying and thrilling conclusion to such a groundbreaking and riveting series of television. My big theory for Season 5 is that I think there will be a time reset. Now, in Volume 1, we saw Henry Creel move his grandfather clock in the Creel house backwards. We of course know that the Upside Down is frozen, at least it seems so, because the journal in Nancy's room was frozen on November 6, 1983, the day that 11 opened the Upside Down and Will went missing. So time has been playing in and seeping into the corners of this Stranger Things chessboard, but I think it's all going to come to a head with a time reset. 11 or Vecna, somebody, maybe their powers together when they're clashing in some epic fight. Now that 11 has seemingly got her powers back, I think she's finally going to become the super-powered being that we always knew she could, where I think we will either be put in a reality where everybody has no memory of what has happened since November 6, 1983, or will be sent back to 1983. Not only do I think it would be a great way to really shock the audience, but I think it would be beneficial to the narrative in twofold. One, I think it allows all of the destruction of Hawkins to not take precedent over the characters, because given the scale of what Hawkins is now going to be going through, and potentially the whole world, more on that later, I do think that it might be smart to reset for a little bit, similarly to what Endgame did, not only using time travel to look back on the journey that we went, the characters to reflect on their individual arcs, but I also think what Endgame did was they killed Thanos at the beginning, so it freed up the narrative and didn't feel so forced and constrained. I think a time reset, because they've established certain things can freeze in time, certain realities, especially now that the Upside Down is seeping into our reality, maybe along with that comes the freezing of time. I think going back to November 6th, 1983, could be a cool ripple. Maybe 11 has consciousness of it and nobody else does. Maybe this brings back Bob, because if we're resetting, maybe the people who died come back to life, and that throws a ripple into the now blossoming relationship between Joyce and Hopper. I just think there are a lot of possibilities here because the relationships and where these characters have started have grown so much. The chance to really explore that and to really see the different paths we lead and when our identity changes, the external and internal forces that brew change within us. It could be a really poignant final season. It also will allow us to bring back a lot of characters that have died in the 4 previous seasons. Maybe we would get more Eddie, and maybe finally we get some justice for Barb and she returns, Shannon Purser returning to Stranger Things. I think it's a really cool idea. Maybe they'll do it. I just think that time has been seeping into this show in some really intriguing ways that potentially we could get a time reset. I've been predicting this for a long time because it just seems to be such a wonderful narrative full circle that whatever has to do with ending the show, whatever shuts the gate for good, Will is the one that is at the center of it. How many times is 11 going to have to close the gate as the final climax of the show? We've done it, and I think what would be really beautiful is after all that has happened with Will, if he admits and he accepts that what happened to him when he was taken in the first season, in the first episode, it forever changed his life and he really could never come back from it. It would be a heartbreaking and really brutal truth, but I think it's a truth that the Duffer brothers are readily available to tell. They've really been committing to this idea that the 80s and, nostalgia and the past, it's not all the bells and whistles and the happiness that you remember it being. There's a lot of hardship, especially for the gay community, which now we've kind of confirmed through, I think, some really powerful monologues from Noah Schnapp, and also the scene with him and Jonathan at Surfer Boy Pizza. We've kind of now confirmed basically that Will is an LGBT character, and if Will is a representative of that turmoil and trauma from our society's past, it could be a really powerful conclusion for this character that I think has purposefully been lost in a state of arrested development. I really think he will become kind of one of the co-leads of this final season in a way. Maybe he is able to learn some of Eleven's powers because of the time he spent in the Upside Down. Maybe he has some power within him that he doesn't know, and he'll be able to shut the gate. I just think that in the end, the final death of this show will be from Will Byers. He was the first person taken in the first episode. He will be the last person that the Upside Down takes in the final. That finality, that closure, how it rhymes, it just seems, I think, too irresistible from a storytelling's point of view. Now this one is really interesting because I found it to be such an intriguing idea that when 11 goes into Max's mind, when she goes into the void, she can't find her. And at first I was like, oh, what a devastating weight for 11 to carry, to the fact that maybe Max would have just died right out, but because she tried to restart her heart, she's left in this coma. She's not allowed to die, and she's in this limbo, in this pain. What a weight she must carry. Would she tell that to Lucas? I think that could be an interesting ripple, is I tried to save Max, but in so doing, I only hurt her more. And I think they could go down that route, because this is the thing, and I call this the Leia rule. If the character is going to die at the beginning of the next chapter, there's no reason why that death isn't at the end of the previous one. It just seems frivolous and as if the Duffer brothers are abusing their audience in keeping Max alive if it's going to start with a funeral because she didn't survive the coma. I think the reason why she's not confirmed dead is because they do have plans for Max. Because they would have just killed her straight out if they don't have any intention to use her again in season 5. Which is why I think that the reason why 11 can't find Max is because Max is doing what she already told us she can do, which is hiding in her good memories. I think Max is hiding from everything. Maybe she's kept there in her memories because of what happened with 11, and maybe 11 restarting her put her in some mental dysphoria. And let's say my time reset idea is true. Maybe because Max is hiding in her old memory and her consciousness is there, maybe she has memories of the previous life and the previous timeline before the reset that nobody else has. And maybe then 11 and Max try to help everybody else remember their life before everything went to craziness at the end of season 4. Now, I don't know about you, but when Hopper was walking through that Russian base and he saw all of those cryogenic sleeping demogorgons, that dust of particles that Joyce was obsessed with, started floating in the background, I did start to wonder, are we not done with the Russians yet? Is the Russian storyline still going to continue into season 5? Because they've kind of killed, in that massacre that happened off screen in between when they left the prison and went back to the prison, they kind of killed all of our human Russian antagonists. So what is there left for the Russian storyline to reveal? But this is where I think it gets really interesting. What if the Russian storyline has always been tied into Vecna? As we saw with this season 4, volume 2, they're completely fine saying that everything that's ever happened, whether they planned it or not, is all Vecna. So what if Vecna has the capability, as we saw with Billy, Vecna is possessing people to create demogorgons and upside down creatures within our reality so that Vecna can attempt global domination. I do think that Vecna's end goal is not just make Hawkins the upside down, it's make everything upside down. So what if we find out that there are scientists all over the world in all different countries that have been breeding demogorgons so that Vecna can have global domination? I think it would be a really cool idea because it would also allow us maybe to go to different countries, have different demogorgon attack and chase scenes there. I mean, it would potentially give us the good version of Jurassic World Dominion, which, listen, there's nowhere left to go but up, literally. So Duffer Brothers have at it. They just spend so much time with the reveal. I mean, the way they play that scene is like this big, epic surprise. And I don't think they just had all those Demogorgons there so that they could fight something in the final episode, so the adults could do something while the teens were actually driving the story forward. I think it's going to play back, especially because now we know officially that Vecna is the main bad, that he created the Mind Flayer. And if those particles are maybe part of the Mind Flayer or part of just the Upside Down, then Vecna potentially knows that it's there. So maybe he planted it there. He allowed them to take certain substances from the Upside Down so that there could be already remnants of the Upside Down in our reality, so it's easier. Now that his plan has worked and the Upside Down has broken through, he can now take control over the world. Now, we know that Stranger Things and the Duffer Brothers love the X-Men, as the Hellfire Club has really shown up more in Stranger Things than it has ever shown up in any X-Men movie. And I bring this up because I think that we could be going for a mutant-like storyline, where now that I think the world is finally going to have to come to terms and address the truth of what actually happened in Hawkins' lab, what the Upside Down is and how it was created. With Papa gone, there's really not anybody who was involved with the original experiments with the Upside Down that can truly protect her. I don't think Owens necessarily has that power. And if somebody, let's say, gets into those tapes that we know they have of, let's say, when Eleven was doing tests or when she threw one into the Upside Down for the first time, it paints a very clear picture that Eleven is kind of the center to all what's happening now with Hawkins. What if that makes everybody turn on Eleven, the public vying for her death as they did for Eddie? I think it could lead to a scenario where everybody's hunting Eleven and the team has to try and protect her. We could even get a Dark Phoenix type storyline. Maybe she loses control of her powers because of how everybody's treating her, and now people are starting to see her as a monster. I just think the idea that once people learn about what Eleven is, they're going to blame her. It would not only be an arc that I think you could find a lot of gravitas in exploring the power of celebrity, especially child celebrity, with all the things that Millie Bobby Brown goes through online and all the suffering that she's had to endure because she was a child celebrity. They could do something, they could mirror that in this whole arc. She's withstanding the hatred of all the people in Hawkins and all the people that blame her for this, instead of blaming the accurate Vecna, who interestingly disappeared Michael Myers style at the end of season 4, volume 2. Maybe Vecna is allowing Eleven to emotionally get depowered again because she's going to be blamed for this, and that's when he makes his final blow for world domination. I'm not saying necessarily we will end with a Daenerys type turn for Eleven, but I do think they will play with this whole monster superhero thing, maybe a little bit more now that everything is revealed and Eleven's true life will be explored within the public. So those are my theories and predictions for Stranger Things 5. Let me know what you think of my theories and put any you have down below in the comments. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to not miss any new videos from Spoilers Ahead with Anthony Post. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you at the movies.